It has been a very long time since I've done two different stories at one time for one video on my channel, because usually I would split them up. But the reason why I'm gonna do two topics in one is because the scenarios are very similar to each other, and they both happen around the same time, and they happened in the same city. So basically what you have is I'm gonna do two stories. Both of them involve someone being pushed in front of a oncoming train. Both of the people are now dead, and both of these incidents happened in New York, and they literally happened, I think, days apart from each other. I could be wrong, but the stories have come out around the same time. But first, we're going to start with this one, where you have this woman by the name of Lauren Pazienza. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce her name. But they have her listed down as a 26-year-old socialite. Basically, she has money for having no discernible talent. She's getting by, I guess, maybe on social media. Maybe she's some kind of influencer or something like that. Because when I hear the word socialite, that a perfect example of a person who was a socialite before they really blew up to do whatever it is that they do is Kim Kardashian. Like, that was her title for a long time before where she is now. It was a socialite. And the same thing pretty much applies here. She's basically, like I said, a person who might have some influence. She makes some money, but she really is not known for any type of talents like acting, singing, anything in entertainment, or business or anything like that. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it. And the title reads, and this one is coming from the Daily News. It says, socialite age 26 called 87-year-old Manhattan singing coach a bitch before delivering a fatal shove. A high-flying socialite denounced a renowned 87-year-old singing coach as a bitch. Ambulance took the dying woman away. Prosecutors charged on Tuesday. So as you can see, she pushed her just off the curb. And apparently the woman maybe hit her head, something like that, and she died. Lauren Pazienza, age 26, faces charges of manslaughter and assault for the cold-blooded attack that sent Barbara Meyer Gustern to her death in Chelsea at about 8:25 p.m. on March 10th. Prosecutors said at her Manhattan criminal court appearance, she turned herself into police earlier Tuesday after 12 days on the run, where she fled her Astoria apartment and hid out in her parents' Long Island home. The accused killer crossed the street, approached Gustern directly, called her a bitch, and shoved her as hard as she ever been hit, said Assistant District Attorney Justin McNabney. The chilling account came directly from Gustern to a friend after the attack, which left the elderly victim bleeding profusely from the head before losing consciousness from her fatal injuries, he added. The heartless attacker was captured on security video having a physical altercation with her fiancé 7 minutes after the assault, then standing nearby and watching police in an ambulance remove her mortally injured target from West 28th Street near 8th Avenue, said McNabney. Doctors tried to perform life-saving surgery, but could not restore brain function. The prosecutor added before Pazienza was held on a $500,000 bail or a $1 million bond. She faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted of killing the stranger. Pazienza, once of Port Jefferson, Long Island, was living in a high-end Astoria condo prior to her arrest and only turned herself in after the NYPD banged on the door of her parents' suburban home one day earlier. Her father refused to let police inside and asserted that his daughter was not at home, despite a tip that led cops to the house. Pazienza then hired a lawyer before surrendering Tuesday to end her dozen days as a fugitive. The defendant has made every effort to avoid apprehension, the DA's office said in court papers. Pazienza was caught after the attack by an MTA surveillance camera at a nearby subway station, where she hopped the train back to Astoria and was identified by two friends from video taken in Penn Station. The beloved singing coach struck her head on the ground and passed away at Bellevue Hospital from blunt force trauma to the head a few days later. Pazienza, her hands cuffed behind her back and long hair obscure her face, was earlier led from the 10th precinct after surrendering for the killing of the woman whose students included rock Hall of Famer Debbie Harry of the band Blondie. The suspect said nothing as detectives steered her inside a waiting NYPD vehicle. A graduate of the Fashion Institute of Technology, Pazienza worked as a communications and events coordinator in North America for the upscale French furniture and home accessory company Rocher Boys, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it, according to an online profile. In a statement, the company said Pazienza resigned from her role at the Rocher Boys in December 2021 and declined to make any additional comment. She was also an active presence on the city's social scene. Photos of a guest website, which aims to keep visitors in the know about the people, places, and parties in your world, show her attending various art exhibition openings. One image from 2015 features a smiling Pazienza, her arm around a man in a jean jacket, posing in front of a painting in the Joseph Gross Gallery. Her name also traces back to an account on Tumblr, which displays more casual pictures of her friends. In one, she and a lipstick woman grin broadly in front of the illuminated Empire State Building. Pazienza was engaged to marry fiancé Naveen Pereira this coming June, and the couple appeared to share the Astoria apartment. Their online wedding registry was taken down following her arrest, as were the suspect's social media accounts and her LinkedIn page, said McNabney. She also ditched her phone at an aunt's house in an effort to dodge arrest, he added. Neighbors in her Astoria dormant apartment building, Shore Towers, described her as a problem tenant. It's not an aberration, said one neighbor who described herself as a mental health expert. There have been instances in the building. Another resident also knew Pazienza as a troubled woman. She complains a lot at the management office, and she had friction with people in the building. I feel sorry for her fiance, this neighbor said. He's a really nice guy, and now everyone wants him out of the building. Defense attorney Arthur Adela was granted a request for his client to receive a psychiatric exam before insisting Pazienza was a 100% law-abiding citizen. He declared the fatal sidewalk shove that was not akin to pushing someone off a cliff, pushing someone in front of a moving train. Adela said the family would not be able to post bail Tuesday, adding his client intended to plead not guilty to the charges. Gustern, in addition to Harry, worked with the Broadway cast of Oklahoma before the attack. She hosted several pals at her apartment to rehearse for an upcoming cabaret show. Her background in music theater and opera was extraordinary, and it prepared her to take on the challenges of all her students, wrote Gustern student Diamanda Gallus, the renowned singer and performance artist, in a Facebook post. She was for many their New York mother, and she enjoyed being able to be available to her students at all times. And I'm gonna stop reading right there. That's pretty much the end of the article. It's only like a couple more passages, but it's really not much. But that's very telling what the tenants were saying about her, and saying that she wasn't a good person, and it sucks that her fiance has to catch the heat because of what his fiance did, or just who she was. But yeah, she was a fugitive. She was on the run. And I think they should get her parents on something for harboring a fugitive, because they were lying to the cops saying they didn't know where she was, knowing good and damn well she was hiding out in their basement this entire time. They said she was on the run for 11 or was it 12 days before they finally caught her. And the only reason they caught her is because a tip revealed that that's where she was. Imagine if that tip wasn't available, she would still be on the run. But I'm going to segue from this story right here to the other one. So now we went from a socialite to this guy right here. Now, I've seen a picture of this guy before, but it was a picture of, I think it was some New York publication, and he was taking a picture and he had his tongue stuck out and everything. He looked crazy in that picture. And some of y'all may be familiar with what I'm talking about. But anyway, this guy's name is Simon Marshall. And he was accused of killing this woman by the name of Michelle Go after he pushed her in front of an oncoming train. And again, this happened in New York. So you see the similarities. Two New York stories, both involved in shoving. Both people ended up dying. The only difference is that one was pushed off of a curb and one was pushed in front of an oncoming train. But the title that this one reads is, Man accused of pushing Bay Area native in front of a New York subway train, killing her unfit for trial. A judge adjourned the case until April 19th. So they're basically trying to lean on the mental health claim. Simon Marshall, who is this guy right here, accused of killing Michelle Go after shoving her in front of an oncoming train, has been found unfit to stand trial, according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. The Assistant District Attorney requested 2 weeks to review the case. A judge adjourned the case until April 19th. Back in January, hundreds of people gathered in Times Square to honor Go. Go's horrific death stands as a brutal indictment on the city she loved and served. Her larger-than-life portrait smiled over the vigil alongside other Asian victims. That's the part that I was waiting on, because Michelle Go was a woman of Asian descent. That's the part I was waiting on. They are going to try to push this whole thing, the whole anti-Asian thing, because, here's a black man and he killed an Asian woman. Michelle, we will miss you deeply. Know you will always be in our hearts and memories. Work friend Louise Chang said at the vigil. The attack happened just early on January 15th inside the Times Square 42nd Street subway station. So this happened a couple months ago, this year. But it's just that now they're trying to get to the trial portion of it. But what I found to be interesting is that when I looked up the previous story, that this story came up as an update that literally was posted an hour ago on the day of me recording this video, which is on March 23rd. The attack, I already read that part. Go was struck and killed in the apparently random attack. Officials do not believe the attack was a hate crime, but even so, assaults on Asians have skyrocketed. Police identified the man accused of shoving Go as 61-year-old Simon Marshall. Marshall has a history of mental illness and is undergoing a psychiatric evaluation. I'm recommitted to make sure that this will not happen again in our city. We have to do this together, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said. The mayor has come under fire for his initial response to the killing, accused of being tone deaf to the cries of the city. We will hold them accountable. The safety of New Yorkers is a human right, Asian Fighting Injustice founder Ben Wei said. However, just days after Go was killed, Adams made a stunning admission about the city's transit system. We're going to make sure New Yorkers feel safe in our subway system, and they don't feel that way now, Adams said. I don't feel that way when I take the train every day or when I'm moving throughout our transportation system. Go was an Upper West Side resident who worked as a consultant for Deloitte. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. And volunteered with the New York Junior League helping the homeless. She clearly had a very strong passion for working one-on-one with these populations in need, said New York Junior League president Dana Cassidy. She was a very compassionate soul who wanted to be rewarded by that direct impact and directly working with those individuals and watching them evolve over time. The mayor's about face on subway safety was welcome news to the man who runs the transit system. I think Mayor Adams is showing that he gets it. He gets how New Yorkers are feeling, acting MTA chairman Jano Lieber said. He gets that even though statistically the chances of being the victim of a crime on the subway are very, very low, and God forbid being a crime victim of a crime like the one that took place in Times Square. But New Yorkers are also perceive a lack of safety because they are seeing and hearing about these extraordinary, alarming subway pushing episodes. The incident happened less than 2 weeks after New York City Mayor Eric Adams and the New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared that homeless outreach and police presence would be stepped up dramatically. Yeah. So those are the two stories right there. I don't know what the hell is going on in New York, but I'm going to tell you this to all my New Yorkers, y'all better watch your back. Literally. That's why whenever I'm waiting for a train, I make sure that I stand away from people where I'm like the only one in that area. Because there are places where you can stand. One thing that I would recommend is try not to stand too close to the middle, because that's where the bulk of the people will be at. Either stand closer to maybe the front or maybe even closer to the back. And even if you're standing for waiting for the train, don't stand too close to the platform. I have an anxiety about when people stand so close to that platform and they like to lean over and look down in there. It's nothing down there but trash and rats. It's nothing special down there. Like my anxiety just goes up because you just never know what people are going through. Some people will even throw themselves in front of a moving train. It's that serious. But yeah. These are two stories I just wanted to bring to you because of the similarities between the both of them. Like I said, they both involve pushing someone to their death. In front, one was on the street, one was in front of a train. They both happened in New York. Now, I noticed that with the black guy, they're leaning on, the mental health thing, and they're actually believing that, he has a mental illness, and it's actually pretty much documented, which is very rare in a case like this. But with that PC woman, they like, oh, nah, she knew what she was doing. But the question is, who's going to get the most, who's going to get the less time. Then they said with her, she can get up to 25 years, but the key words there are up to, doesn't mean necessarily she's going to get all 25 years. That just says that she can get up to, which means she can't get more than that, but it doesn't mean she's going to get exactly that either. She can get less. And as for him, they just said they postponed his trial until April 19th because he's not fit to stand trial as of yet, which means he most likely does have some kind of a condition. But we'll see. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you are new. Make sure you hit that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live.